Since the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan in August 2021, they have gradually taken control of over 39 Afghan embassies and consulates globally, despite not being formally recognized by any country. The Taliban's acting foreign ministry confirmed that these diplomatic missions spread across several nations including Pakistan, China, Russia and the UAE now operate under their authority. While China and the UAE have officially accepted Taliban-appointed diplomats, other countries, particularly Western nations, have withheld recognition due to Taliban's restrictive stance on women's rights and the lack of educational opportunities for girls. In July 2024, the Taliban cut ties with 14 Afghan diplomatic missions primarily in Europe, including embassies in the UK, Belgium, Germany, France and Canada. These missions had continued operating under the previous government, often without coordination with the Taliban authorities in Kabul. The Taliban announced they would no longer accept consular documents such as visas and passports issued by these embassies. Afghan citizens in the affected countries were advised to seek services from embassies controlled by the Taliban, further complicating their access to documentation. Meanwhile, the Taliban continue to pressure other diplomatic missions to align with their government. The Taliban also consolidated control over Afghan diplomatic missions in India, reopening consulates in Mumbai and Hyderabad and re-establishing contact with the Indian Ministry of External Affairs.
We have a technical, we pulled back the India-based diplomats and staff after Taliban took control of Kabul. Because at that time we had legitimate security concerns. A lot of other countries also did it. With the passage of time, we have sent back a technical team to the embassy. They have been there for some time. And their job is essentially, in a sense, to monitor the situation and to see how we can support the Afghan people in their hour of need, you can say, in a manner, because they have, this is a country which had vaccine shortage, it had wheat shortage, it had medicine shortage, it had there are projects there which will get into difficulty in the passage of time. So the focus right now in Afghanistan is less, I would say, political. It is more like helping the Afghan people, because the Afghan people are people with whom we have a historical connect. So that is really the current state of the situation.
India, driven by its strategic interest in maintaining influence and protecting its investments in Afghanistan, has quietly engaged with Taliban diplomats despite not formally recognizing the Taliban government. India had reopened its Kabul embassy in 2022 to facilitate humanitarian aid but has largely suspended consular services. This reflects a broader trend where countries such as China, Russia and Pakistan have allowed Taliban diplomats but refrained from full recognition due to ongoing concerns about human rights abuses under Taliban rule. The Taliban's strict rule over Afghanistan does not necessarily qualify it as a legitimate government, as recognition hinges on their willingness to adhere to international laws. Remaining legally unrecognized does not absolve the Taliban of their obligations under international human rights and humanitarian laws, which focus on administration rather than government status. Recent UN research shows that over 60% of Afghan women believe formal recognition of the Taliban will worsen their rights.
It's a government of Taliban, by Taliban, for Taliban in Afghanistan. Nobody else is part of that. So it's not only women who are affected, it's the men who are affected. We are a bit disappointed for the fact that men do not stand to the extent that they should in our support. But it's a very difficult situation, and there are unrest, extrajudiciary killing, arbitrary detention of people, people are enforced disappeared. So we understand the situation, but I think those fathers, those brothers and those husbands who were coming to us as their representative in the last 20 years, we want to see them now in solidarity, in action. We want them to help us reclaim our country.
Granting recognition under current conditions may exacerbate human rights issues, particularly for women and minorities. While formal recognition may be delayed, countries will continue engaging with the Taliban due to strategic and security concerns. Bureau Report, India Today Global.